This month in history. April 15th. April 15, 1817. The first American school for the deaf was founded by Thomas H. Gallaudet and Laurent Clerk in Hartford, Connecticut. April 15, 1912. In the icy waters off Newfoundland, the luxury liner Titanic, with 2,224 persons on board, sank at 2:27 a.m. after striking an iceberg just before midnight. Over 1,500 persons drowned, while 700 were rescued by the liner Carpathia, which arrived about 2 hours after Titanic went down. April 16th. April 16, 1862. Congress abolished slavery in the District of Columbia and appropriated $1 million to compensate owners of freed slaves. April 16, 1995. Iqbal Masih, a young boy born from Pakistan who spoke out against child labor, was shot to death. At age 4, he had been sold into servitude as a carpet weaver and spent the next 6 years shackled to a loom. At age 10, he escaped and began speaking out, attracting worldwide attention as a featured speaker during an international labor conference in Sweden. April 17th. April 17, 1961. A U.S.-backed attempt to overthrow Premier Fidel Castro of Cuba failed disastrously in what became known as the Bay of Pigs fiasco. About 1,400 anti-Castro exiles invaded the island's southern coast along the Bay of Pigs, but were overrun by 20,000 Cuban soldiers and jailed. Trained and guided by the U.S., the exiles had expected support from U.S. military aircraft and help from anti-Castro insurgents on the island. Instead, due to a series of mishaps, they had fended for themselves with no support. The failed invasion heightened the Cold War tensions between Cuba's political ally, Soviet Russia, and the fledgling administration of President John F. Kennedy. The following year, the Russians brazenly installed nuclear missiles in Cuba, resulting in the Cuban Missile Crisis. April 17, 1989. The Polish labor union Solidarity was granted legal status after nearly a decade of struggle, paving the way for the downfall of the Polish Communist Party. In the elections that followed, Solidarity candidates won 99 out of 100 parliamentary seats and eventually forced the acceptance of a Solidarity government led by Lech Walesa. April 18th. April 18, 1775. The midnight ride of Paul Revere and William Dawes occurred as the two men rode out of Boston about 10 p.m. to warn patriots at Lexington and Concord of the approaching British. April 18, 1906. The San Francisco earthquake struck at 5:13 a.m., followed by a massive fire from overturned wood stoves and broken gas pipes. The fire raged uncontrollably for 3 days, resulting in the destruction of over 10,000 acres of property and 4,000 lives lost. a charge with bayonets, leaving 8 Americans dead and 10 wounded. April 19, 1943. Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto staged an armed revolt against Nazi SS troops attempting to forcibly deport them to death camps. April 19, 1989. 47 U.S. sailors were killed by an explosion in a gun turret on the USS Iowa during gunnery exercises in the waters off Puerto Rico. April 19, 1993. At Waco, Texas, the compound of the Branch Davidian religious cult burned to the ground with 82 persons inside, including 17 children. The fire erupted after federal agents battered buildings in the compound with armored vehicles following a 51-day standoff. April 19, 1995. At 9:02 a.m., a massive car bomb explosion destroyed the entire side of a 9-story federal building in Oklahoma City, killing 168 persons, including 19 children inside a daycare center. A decorated Gulf War veteran was later convicted for the attack. April 20th. April 20, 1914. Miners in Ludlow, Colorado were attacked by National Guardsmen paid by the mining company. The miners were seeking recognition of their United Mine Workers Union. 5 men and a boy were killed by machine gun fire, while 11 children and 2 women burned to death as the miners' tent colony was destroyed. April 20, 1999. The deadliest school shooting in U.S. history occurred in Littleton, Colorado, as 2 students armed with guns and explosives stormed in Columbine High School at lunchtime, then killed 12 classmates and a teacher and wounded more than 20 other persons before killing themselves. April 21st. April 21, 1836. The Battle of San Jacinto between Texans led by Sam Houston and Mexican forces